Guys, I'm sorry, microphone is on. Okay, well, here's what I want to say. Remember that it's your holiday too. Do everything you can, smile, make sure you have a light breakfast, make sure you go to the ladies' room, make sure you have something to eat and you hydrate. And for goodness sake, try not to stay late and not to squeeze people in. Squeezing people in makes the person before and after and the person you squeezed in unhappy unless you are truly a magician. In crunch time, sometimes the best thing to do is to address the regrowth area of the hair exactly as you have before, even if the client says, I want to be lighter or darker. If the client wants to be lighter because it's the holidays and she wants to put a little zoom up in the front, as you know, I use maybe they've never had some highlights. Use a very, very low volume developer, like 5-volume developer, mixed with lightener, and just zigzag some highlights in the crown, in the widow's peak, and in the temples, and do that while the color is processing. The same thing happens if the person says they'd like to be a bit deeper. Finish your retouch with the same formula you used, and then mix a low lighting formula, which you can place zigzag through the hair so the person has a feeling of richer, deeper hair. What we don't want to do is say, she wants to be a darker blonde, I'll apply a darker toner. Often when you do that,
Uh-oh, we lost you.
There
you are.
When you darken or lighten the hair all over during crunch time, and the client says, you know, it's a bit too dark or it's a bit too light, now you're going to run behind. So darken or lighten the hair in sections, in selected strands. You know, I'm a very big advocate for doing that because trying to do something globally and apply something all over can work out fast. Yes, you put it on and walk away, but you can have trouble. I'd rather see 40% of the strands in the hair lighter or deeper, and the person really feel a lift or something more dramatic. Or I'd rather do that than just dump something one color all over. And that's how I feel about it. That's why I'm such an advocate of demi per colors. And everybody knows, I think if I were stranded on a desert island, I would say, give me bleach and demi liquid color. And this is Beauty Fusion, as you know, which comes to our salons in a 3-ounce biodegradable bottle at $8.95 a bottle. And I know a lot of you have used Shades EQ and other brands of liquid demis. Ours is very special. The colors are fantastic. You do not need to use heat to process them. They are dye rich. They contain no MEA, no PPD. They're wonderful. And this is what they look like. This is Beauty Fusion by Artego. By the way, Annie and Karen, I'm watching other groups. I'm watching other lines talking about color, different hairdressing groups. And what they're saying often is, well, now now it's new. For years, I have been successfully addressing gray hair with demi-permanent color. And other companies say, well, we have demis, but if you really want to cover gray, you've got to use permanent color. Now that information, while true, is a little misleading because if you want gray coverage that is example, if a woman has white hair, gray, white hair, and a lot of it, and her hair lengths happen to be level 4, light brown, well, you can use a permanent dye with a 20-volume developer like our It's Color, and you can apply it and process it, and you will get everything to turn level 4. Every hair in that head will be one solid color of level 4 brown. That is coverage that is monochromatic. But if you use a demi-permanent color of level 4 or 5, the demi-permanent will make the gray hair turn level 4 or 5, and the still pigmented hair that might be a bit darker will remain unchanged. So it will look like some of the hair is lighter and some of the hair is deeper. I think that's really sexy hair color, because if you look at a child, they don't have just one flat color of hair. And if you watch television, movies, or shows, and especially when you see guys with like they're in their 50s and they're an actor, and every hair in their head is dark brown, it's a paint job. You know that that director said, I want that hair to be one color. I want it to look like he's Superman. Everything is black. No gradation in the hair. But if you have hair that's dark brown mixed with hair that's medium and light brown, and it hits the light, it's quite beautiful. The gray covered, it covered to its level without lifting the hair that's still pigmented. So number one, when you want to cover gray 100% and be sure to match or lighten the hair that has not yet turned gray, and you know that client does not want any nuance, wants it to look one monochromatic tone, I recommend using Artego It's Color Permanent Hair Dye. And our double ends, which are cool ends and which are truly formulated, because for years, Artego listened to colorists saying, we want perfect gray coverage. We need perfect gray coverage. And so they listened. And a lot of companies didn't. Artego was wise enough to know, number one, the company's based in Italy, and they know about working on thick, coarser, denser textures, which do take color differently. So what they did was create color that no one can say these double ends do not cover gray, as long as they are beautifully mixed, formulated, and applied. If you want to create a level 3 at the root, you will use a level 3 double N. If you want to create a level 5 at the root, you will use a level 5 double N. If you're scared that there might be a little bit of warmth in there, you can use an Artego It's Color Natural Ash, which is not only neutral, but ash, and was designed to kill any unwanted warmth, which on some women can be flattering. But I believe super, super cool, super, super dark hair color on most complexions today does not work. Years ago, a lot of women who wanted that theatrical look were the kinds of ladies who could sit in a mirror every morning, put their hair up in a chignon, have their coffee served to them, and after doing their face, they would do a whole thing of makeup, lips, cheeks, eyes, that whole glam-a look. And a lot of women don't live that way anymore. And a lot of women get up, they put their hair in a ponytail, they wash and moisturize the skin, maybe throw on some lip gloss, and they're off to the gym or off to work. So you see, the color results kind of the same, but the taste remains different. So I love using demi-permanent color to cover gray, unless the person demands lift with gray coverage or a super, super matte look. As we're crunching toward the holidays, it's not time to really experiment, because experimentation means possible issues. I might experiment with the hair shaft, with the hair lengths, with some deeper or lighter pieces that you can just paint in with your brush or apply with a mesh or a foil. But I would leave the root area the same. And I know a lot of you will answer this. How many times has a woman told you her hair color is too light? And you'll listen. And so you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to deepen your formula. But you know, uh-oh, I know this lady. If I deepen this formula, she's going to say it's dark. So you use the same exact formula and you make a huge fuss. And you know what she says, Annie? Oh, I love it. It's a little better.
It's
It's darker. I
perfect.
love it. Yeah. And I'm not saying to be dishonest, but I'm saying to also save yourself unnatural sadness. And that's crunch time. So, you know, learning to use what we have, thinking about in this crunch time, evaluating, where am I in this color business now? Am I happy? What would I like to learn more? What would I like to do better? And put that on a list, because those are the things we can address as we start this new year that'll be happening very, very soon. Maybe you'd like different, faster ways of dimensionalizing hair. Maybe you'd like to use some less aggressive shades, or shades that people are concerned about saving planet Earth and they don't want to use a lot of chemicals. Maybe you're concerned with people who want wonderful, wonderful coverage, even when they have gray hair, high degrees of gray, and they want it light, but they only want to use single process color. And that brings me to something very, very important. And that is Artego's It's Color. It comes in a box like this. Now, in my background, most of you know I was born and raised at Clairol. I helped make color fusion. I helped make, let's see, oh my God, Logix, Verocolor, my own brand, everything. And I've consulted for many companies. And most companies will tell you to assure 100% gray coverage, you have to use a formula level 8 or deeper with 20 volume for 45 minutes. And that really works. But supposing a woman wanted to be paler than an 8, but also demanded gray coverage. Artego in our double N lines, levels 8 NN, 9 NN, and 10 NN, when processed for 45 minutes, mixed with equal parts of 20 volume developer, make it so that you can create those pastel blondes without bleaching the hair. And you know, I will tell you, Annie, that's a miracle. That's something very, very new. So I have clients here in Houston who want to be very, very blonde, and they're tired of being pre-lightened and toned. When we use an Artego It's Color shade at levels 8 NN, 9 NN, 10 NN, they are very, very pigment rich. And they allow us to not only create a blonde tone, but create blonde on 100% white hair, Annie. It's terrific.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it gives us a new opportunity. And for those clients who, and you've seen it, and I don't want to beat a horse to death, but if you've seen, I have a client who's between a level 5 and 6 with some gray. And she had used home color. It was that color I call macaroni and cheese, orange. And then somebody tried to bleach it. I used an Artego shade called 13NA, which is our high lift, level 13 natural ash. And she's the most beautiful pastel blonde, no grassiness, no warmth. She looks as though she's been bleached and toned.
Very
So,
nice.
yeah, and that shade is also great for placing highlights in the hair. So, you know, you have young women coming in who have brown hair or auburn hair, or maybe even dark ashy blonde hair. And while they're not interested in a whole big deal highlighting, I will highlight across the center top of the head from the center top forward, maybe with 6 or 7 woven foils close together. And at the temples, 4 or 5 foils, 4 or 5 toils, all woven using our level 13 natural ash mixed with 40 volume developer. And let them sit at room temperature after I wrap the last foil for 35 or 40 minutes. And Annie, it's the most beautiful blonde, soft, beautiful blonde in that brown or auburn or dark ashy hair. And it's just enough. It's just enough. And it's crash time. It shouldn't take you more than 12 minutes to do this. Of course.
You know, we also have that. I have recommended that formula for people too. And sometimes they need a little lighter, and you can add extra blonding cream to it for an extra level of lift.
Yes, the Artego blonding cream, you can add just like a half or quarter of an ounce, and that'll give them even a little more lift. In that case, though, Annie, I usually go to our Lovely Lights cream developer with 20, because there's the, there are 2 different types of hair lighteners in there that create us to get that little past using permanent dye. And sometimes what's fun to do is to make a small bowl with color, high lift, and another small bowl with the Lovely Lights. So I'm creating 2 different colors of highlights, shade on shade, and women love that. Or I might paint roots to mids with the permanent dye. And on the ends, I paint the Lovely Lights bleach. So she's got a deeper root and a slightly kickier end,
Oh, nice.
which looks
Yep.
almost melted. And there's so many ways to do that. And when we teach our classes, those are the kinds of things live we get to go into. So do we have any questions yet, Annie?
Not yet, not yet. But I love the techniques you're talking about. When I understand them, you know they're good.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, it's very interesting. I used to do a thing called the railroad track, and I still do it. What I do is I part the hair, and it works really great on long layers or one length hair that's at least chin length, right? I go from the center of the eyebrow back to the back of the head, center of the eyebrow back to the back of the head, and I only weave the foil, and I try not to make every foil. I weave it, I flip it back, and I clip it at the base. I go get very close together again. I weave it, I apply, I flip it back. And then I continue working from back to front, weaving only, Annie, weaving only. And it doesn't matter where the person parts their hair, because I've got one part over here, right? One part over here, and of course that includes the center part. When someone asks for a partial, it is amazing that when you do that, remember, doing this area is called that money piece, right?
Mhm.
So you're giving them, if you're very close back to back in here, you're giving them a money piece, and you're also infusing highlights through the top of the head. It looks like you did much more than you did. And I'd like to show you that when maybe Dustin and I can get together and do a model for us on a Zoom coming up, and our viewers can take a look at that Zoom, because
Okay.
it's called a lot of bang for your buck. So
Perfect for
guys,
holiday
don't worry,
crunch
and
time.
you don't even have to worry about doing the sides at this point. An intro. So railroad track, just from the middle of the eyebrow back, middle of the eyebrow back, and then make sure you comb these down and clip them away completely. Now section and start weaving, wrap your foil, fold it, flip it back, and clip it. It's not going to go anywhere. Tiny section in between. Weave, apply. You're going to have the foil down on her face. Apply, fold, flip it back, and clip. It should take a good colorist, not taking phone calls or being bothered, about 12 to 15 minutes to wrap this.
Okay.
And they don't need heat unless they want to be white blonde. And I use Lovely Lights, or I use our High Lift Artego, and I love it. I love it. It works beautifully.
Great. Oh,
I see.
okay.
Oh, Robert, what's Robert want?
When using Beauty Fusion 6-7, the chocolate, on
Yeah.
100% gray hair with 20 volume and 10% of color formula with number 2, which I presume means booster. It
Yes.
appeared warmer than the swatch. Was it because I should have used 20% rather than only 10%? If so, why? I think he didn't use enough booster.
Well, if he wanted Beauty Fusion to act as a permanent color with this formula, 2 ounces of 6CH should be mixed with 2 teaspoons or 12 grams of booster.
Or 20, or when we teach him the percentage, which he's doing, it's 10% of the color used in booster for demi, 20% for permanent,
Correct. If he was
and
using
he's saying he did 10.
yeah, he should have used, you should
He
have.
should have used 20%.
That's right, absolutely. And he should have left it on for 45 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why, Robert, you were using it with 20 volume, but you didn't add enough booster.
Yeah.
So I'm American, so I say 2 ounces of color, 2 teaspoons of booster, 2 ounces of 20 volume. You were kind of using it as a demi. Yes, it was sheerer, and that's why it was warmer. And
Yeah.
and 6CH is wonderful, so it should have been a little cooler.
Yeah, the
Well,
chocolates
Robert,
are really popular.
Yep, the chocolates are popular, and so I love 6.0. I love 6.43, which is our warm golden, and I love 5.832, which is like a mahogany brunette. The 5.832, in my view, looks like a lovely level 4 chocolate brunette. I love it.
Well, the 634 too is super popular in Beauty Fusion. So now
Yes.
they've made it even in its color, which has been really
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
634, which is gold copper. It's
Copper.
wonderful. And when you mix it with 60 neutral, it's like this nutmeg brunette. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty color.
Yeah, thank you for pitching in, Robert. I appreciate it.
Yes. Any other questions, you guys? You're very quiet today. Speak up.
Yeah, I think it's fun. You know, and you can charge a minimal amount for this service, but I think holiday shimmer is so lovely. And holiday shimmer on brunettes can be created by, take them to the sink and moisten their hair. And before you shampoo them, really squeeze some of the water out. And you can make her a richer brunette or a warmer brunette by using Beauty Fusion for 5 minutes. If I want to make her a more nutmeg brunette, I mix an ounce of our 6 warm gold with an ounce of 5-volume oxy milk. I apply it to her hair, la 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 la, root stands, root stands. I put gloves on, I really work it through. And after 5 or 6 minutes, I rinse, shampoo, and condition. She's in love. To make her a richer, cooler brunette, and she wants to be more dramatic, but not too much. Again, 1 ounce of 5.832, 1 ounce of 5-volume developer, applied to that damp towel dried hair, massage. The massage and the getting it in there evenly is the pampering. That's the lovely. And then 5 minutes, take it off, rinse, shampoo, and condition. It's terrific. It's terrific. And you can brighten your dark red heads, but you got to be careful because she's got to be really red. And some women want to be. I have to tell you, Annie, the other night I went to the Museum of Fine Arts here in Houston to a Gauguin exhibit, and I was so happy to see redheads in Houston. I saw beautiful hair color, but I saw really good red, and redheads, blondes, brunettes, but thank God it's not all blonde. And if somebody wants to be that red carpet, rouge red for Christmas, and they have brown hair or faded red hair, just 1 ounce of our 4.6, which is our red level 4 Beauty Fusion, with 5-volume developer on that damp hair, mush it through. It's crunch time. Let her sit there for 5 minutes. Shampoo, condition, and there's that kiss. It's not, oh my God, what did you do? It's a kiss of warmth.
Nice.
Love it.
Great
Love
hints.
it.
Yeah, those are great formula hints.
They really are good ones. And for blondes, of course, to keep them silvery, I mix 2 things, all my blondes, in Beauty Fusion. 9.11 is a level 1 double blue. And when you mix 911 with clear, you make like a silver.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a blonde who's saying, oh, my hair's a little yellow, blah, 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 okay. Just moisten her hair, towel it dry a bit, put half of an ounce of 911 with half an ounce of Beauty Fusion Clear, an ounce of 5-volume developer, frappe that all through on that damp hair, la la la, use 2 hands, use gloves, 5 minutes, rinse, shampoo, and condition, and she'll feel much less yellow. Her hair will shine. And remember, Beauty Fusion has a lot of wonder phyto elements in there, natural oils that really pamper the hair. And our developer contains squalene, which forces the hair to shine. So she's going to look, no one's going to say, oh my goodness, what did you do? Who are you? I don't recommend. Oh, what did you do? She'll just feel sparkly and she'll have that bit of attention. People get tired. They feel they don't want a rush job, but they want to do something special and they don't know what to do. It's up to you to suggest it. How about a little, long time ago, this guy in Cleveland who had this super beauty salon that had valet parking called it a champagne cocktail for the hair.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Join us for a champagne cocktail.
Do you ever use the 11-2-1 kind of the same way for a lighter silvery blonde?
Yes, I do. It's lovely. 11-2-1. Absolutely. The thing is, Annie, to make sure you apply it to damp hair and minimize, 5 to 7 minutes is enough. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
this is not something you walk away from and go have a sandwich and come back. That won't work so well.
All right, we have two questions. Is
Good.
there a clay-based bleach available for balayage?
Yes.
Yes. If not, what can be used to avoid using foil, saran wrap, or cotton? We definitely have a clay-based balayage bleach.
On our clay base is wonderful. And someone asked the other day if I use Artego's clay bleach, is it okay if I use it in foil or a mesh? The answer is if you have it and you have to, yes, mix it with additional developer. Okay. But you know, it's interesting, people trying, there's some great ways to paint hair and it's an art. And there are some ways, if you need to take very dark, dark dyed hair and you need to make it blonde, you will not get a good blonde by painting the hair because it is the pressing of the hair and the lightener against the formula with pressure. It's like you're running a steamroller over a street when you're, you know, here comes the steamroller. That steamroller is pressing that tar and that blah together. And so when your pressure plus product plus lightener equals lift. But yes, you can paint, and we have wonderful clay lightener, and the price is so damn reasonable. I really hope you'll look into Artegos before you
Yeah, and
do
it
anything
really
else.
dry. The key to our balayage is that when you paint it on, it dries instantly on the outside, but it's
Mhm.
moist and working on the inside. I always compare it to an M&M. Hard on the outside,
Right, dry
soft
and
on
mushy
the
on the
inside.
inside.
Yeah,
That's a
so you
great,
don't need all this paraphernalia. It
you
just
don't,
just
you
lay
don't,
that section down and it doesn't
yeah.
bleed.
Pick up your section and with pressure, pull it away from the head, know exactly where you're going to paint. Use our clay lightener and it'll sit there without bleeding onto the other hair. Absolutely.
All right, another question is, can you apply the clear from Beauty Fusion just for shine?
Yes, but I wouldn't do that because I think it's, yes, you can. Why wouldn't I mix an ounce and a half of Beauty Fusion with a half ounce of gold or a half ounce of ash or a quarter ounce of copper yes, you can do that. Just like that's what Shades EQ did that. I'm going to tell you a story. Long time ago, when people first started using Shades EQ, there were people who cut hair. You know what I have to do? I have to, while I'm talking to you, I have to move for a second and I'm going to come right back while I tell you this interesting story. Okay, a long time ago, when days of old and people were really into doing haircuts, people were really following Vidal Sassoon, they were following Paul Mitchell, they were following Jerry Cosenza and others.
Yep,
Their
Sebastian.
situation was as follows. They were not really coloring hair. They didn't want to color hair unless a person needed gray coverage. That's all. So if a lady needed gray, or if a lady needed wanted highlights, they do highlights because they said highlights wasn't coloring hair. Okay, so now Redken comes out with Shades EQ, and they invented 3 red shades at the beginning, which were pretty wonderful, and clear. And here's what they said to people, and they were very smart. Here's what they said. Listen, one of the reasons women like to color their hair is it does seem to make it shinier. But for women who don't want to color their hair, you can use Shades EQ Clear, apply it to their hair, let it process 15 minutes or 20, rinse, shampoo, and condition, and she will have shine. And you know what? Because it's acidic, Annie, it closed the cuticle, it helped the hair reflect more, and the hair looked shinier. Perfect, right? No
Right.
color. Then remember, cellophanes made clear cellophane.
Yes.
Remember? Okay.
Yeah, we
And that
sold
was
it.
to
We
get,
sold it.
yeah, I remember. I mean, well, I saw people using, they'd say, oh, I use clear cellophanes on all my clients. I charge them extra. They love it. Then people started saying, gosh, I use clear cellophanes on my highlighted client. I wonder if I added a drop of the yellow to the clear, or a drop of the ash to the clear, or the silver, or a drop of the caramel. I wonder, well, then they started saying, oh, not only am I making it shiny, I'm making it more interesting because I'm creating a different shade. That's how you get people addicted. And I know you say, oh, first get them to drink a beer and then get them to drink a scotch and then get them to smoke pot or whatever. No, the entry to color was clear glazes. If you
Huh.
want to do clear, do it. But when I do clear, I tell them it's clear. And I do 1 ounce and 3/4 of clear and 1/4 of something I want. It hardly shows. But that's me. If you feel good doing clear, just a clear gloss, absolutely. But I would apply it to damp hair that you have not yet shampooed. I'd really apply it evenly. And again, Annie, as I said earlier, it's that service. Put on 2 gloves and massage that clear beauty fusion, roots to ends. Make sure every hair is covered. Maybe add a drop of water and let it foam a bit and leave it. And let her just feel that lovely stuff taking in her hair. After 5 to 7 minutes, rinse, shampoo, and condition. And
Great.
that's it. And I like to condition with Artego's Lola conditioner. You know those. They are conditioners that contain an amazing dose of color. And they come in pastel blue, which is silver white. They come in a violet, sheer for blondes, almond, which I love, which is like an almond blonde, caramel, coral, scarlet, and chocolate. They're delightful. And they're great for your back bar as well as for at home retail. And the price is right. So, there's, even if you say to someone, oh, it's going to be the holidays, don't just put in your hands your regular conditioner and add 2 squeezes or drops of the Lola Sun, which is the softest yellow. And she's just going to say, oh, my hair looks so pretty. The worst thing to do is say, I am using something new on your hair today. I have never used it before. I do not know how it will turn out, but we will. Don't do that. I have clients who sadly had to switch out of L'Oreal for a reason, that they were having some issues. And they switched to Goldwell, and they said, you cannot tell the client, I need to use a new brand today.
I tell people that all the time. I use professional color. You don't tell them the name of what you're using.
No, you don't. And you don't say, we got something new and I don't know if I like it, but I'm going to try it. You've already ruined that's like a cook saying, we just bought beef from a new purveyor. I don't know if it's any good, but I'm going to serve it to you. You just don't do that.
Right.
It's
my answer would be, could you try it on somebody else, not my head?
Yeah, I know. And I always say, you know what, but it's true. I do swatches, as you know, Annie. I don't try anything until I've done a swatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm lucky to be able to do that. And people do understand. Once you see how something performs on a swatch or on the nape of your friend's head or something, you're totally okay then. You understand what it's going to do and what it's not going to do.
Right. You know what? And we always told people, and maybe this is silly, but I thought it was a great idea, that if you don't have swatches, what you cut people's hair,
Yeah,
save
pick it
some
up
of that hair, tape it, and make that your swatch to try it on.
Absolutely. There are people who did that for years. John Gunther, who started this Congress of Colorists as a young guy in Germany, they said they would pick the hair off the floor, tape it, and
Yeah.
apply some lightener or some color just to see what that product would do to the hair. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
And
another question.
yeah.
The bulk of my clients are gray and get retouches all the time. I was
Good.
always told color will not lift color. So my question is, are you using the high lift on virgin hair?
I use high lift on virgin hair to create blonde. High lift on previously dyed hair, color will lift color, but we don't know how much. If you use high lift blonde on dark dyed hair, you're going to get a lighter yucky brown or a red color. You're not going to get blonde.
Okay.
Yes. If you have hair that's dyed dark, and you apply super light hair color to it and process it, you're probably going to get a result. You'll get a little change, but there's no way we can predict it. Absolutely not.
Right.
But see, then what I'd have to ask that person is, you asked me if I'm applying the high lift to virgin hair. What level and tone is the hair length that you would like to apply this formula to? And that's what I tell people on my website and on my Facebook page. They'll say, I love that color. What was the formula? But they don't say, they do sometimes, but they often don't say, what was the person's color before you started? What did you apply that to? If I apply a red level 4 shade to level 3 hair, my result is going to be very different from when I apply that level 4 red shade to level 7 medium blonde hair. You know, Annie, it's not the
Right.
same. So people sadly think, well, if I change the developer, it'll change the result. A little, not a lot. The engine of the hair color is the level of the hair color. The bigger the motor is high lift colors. The gentler the motor, dark colors, okay? The peroxide is the gasoline that drives the lift and deposit. But the chief contributor to result is the formula used on what? On what? Virgin hair, previously colored hair, what?
She's kind of reiterating. It was meant for the highlights you were talking about placing using the high lift blondes.
Oh,
You want to
okay.
know what you were doing it on.
I'm doing that on virgin hair. Whenever I have to highlight hair that's been colored, I love to use, if I want something soft, I use our Lovely Lights cream lightener. If I want something more, I use Lovely Lights powder. If I want almost nothing, I use Lovely Lights cream with 5 or 10 volume. And of course, remember, it's lightener, developer, and time. If I leave Lovely Lights cream on with 5 volume for 2 hours, that hair is going to be light.
Mm-hmm.
If I leave Lovely Lights with 5 volume on for 15, 20 minutes, it's going to be moderately lightened. If I process under heat, we're going to get faster lift. If I process at room temperature, the lift will be more gradual, but it will keep going.
Do you use heat very often with the bleach?
Just what, honey?
Do you use heat with the bleach?
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
But I do not use a hair dryer. I do not use a Climazone. I use a roller ball by Takara Belmont. Another
Okay.
company has one that's much less. It's a rotating heat source that does not blow. It's like the
Okay.
ring of Saturn going around. I had them in my salon in New York. They were $3,000 a piece,
Yeah.
but they were worth it. And there is a company now, my friend Chris Zamastel, who teaches for us, has the less expensive knockoff model that works fine. But it is a rotating heat source under a dryer that's blowing hot air. Dear God in heaven, you can have trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do. And you know what? You don't often need heat, but when you have, see, if I sometimes wrap from the back all the way to the front on one side, then I go to the other side from the back to the front on the other side. I put heat on the last side I did, no heat on the first side I did. It comes out even.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or sometimes I'll wrap up the whole back and I'll wrap the front last. I'll apply heat to the front of the head with no rotation, with no heat in the back. Comes up even. Apply.
You can do that with a roller ball.
Oh, yeah, you can do it with a roller ball, absolutely. Oh, Robert's asking a question again. Hey, Robert, what?
All right. What are the starting levels that are used in the Beauty Fusion swatch book and Artigo, which I presume means it's colored?
It is my understanding, Robert, that when you look at a swatch in the Beauty Fusion book, you were looking at hair that is gray, that is 100% white. You're welcome.
All right. I had him here if we had to look something up, but
Yeah, it's 100% white hair.
okay.
Okay. And that, but it's processed correctly too. It's not put in an autoclave. They leave it on with the developer for 45 minutes. And those are the swatches are from international hair importers. I use them all the time. And Alan at Beecher is kind enough to help me get them. They used to cost a lot of money. Now they are extraordinarily expensive. They are 100% virgin hair. You can get 50% gray, 50% level 2, 3, 4. You can get level 7 with 10% white. You can get anything you ask for. They have hair that's bleached to yellow, hair that's bleached to pale yellow. I always get the hair bleached to pale yellow. They have all the brunette. You can get 100% level 3, 4, or 5 hair. Now,
Wow.
when we test hair color at Clairol and L'Oreal,
Well, we lost Beth. Something happened. Hello, Beth. Let me call her.
Beth Minardi.
Uh-oh.
Please leave a message and I'll call.
Do you think that maybe her phone died?
I don't know what happened. And she didn't answer her phone. I don't know if she was using her phone or computer.
Because she's not trying to get back on yet.
She's not?
Uh-uh.
All right, let me call her again.
I'm back on. What do I do? I'm sorry.
You have to go back to the Facebook thing and redo the whole thing.
Okay, I'll go to your email.
Okay. She's getting back on. Technology is always fun.
Technology lately, though, has been kind of wonky.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she probably just hit something on her computer and it went off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What happened?
All right.
Uh-oh.
I dropped a bottle.
okay, my phone dropped. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, there you go. We
I'm
have
sorry,
a question.
Oh, okay. Is it about the swatches or okay? Okay, never mind.
Says, what would he do when using Beauty Fusion on non-pigmented hair and pigmented hair?
Okay, so he's talking about salt and pepper gray hair, right?
I think so. That's Robert. Is that what you mean, Robert? Gray hair?
Robert, you're talking about a lady who has salt and
Either
pepper
or,
gray.
he said.
Okay, well, okay, so we have to ask myself, if I'm working on white hair, non-pigmented gray hair, I have to say to myself, what do I want to do to this hair? If I'm looking at white hair, I have to say, look at the hair shaft. Do I want to match this hair shaft? Probably. I'm working on mostly 90% white, 80% white. What level do I see in the hair shaft? I see that that hair shaft looks to be about a level 5 auburn. Okay, so what am I'm using Beauty Fusion. What should I do? I know that I have a lot of gray hair, so I can't just use straight red. I need to buffer that red. So what I might want to do is, I know that I have a really good level 5 copper, which is beautiful in Beauty Fusion. But what do I do to calm down that red so she doesn't look like Ronald McDonald, because it's almost all white hair? I have a couple choices in Beauty Fusion, Robert. You can mix that level 5.44, which is a level 5 double copper. And remember, that's strong. So how do I calm it down? I mix it with a neutral. I mix it with a 0.0. We have a wonderful 6.0. And you could mix the 6.0. Because she's so gray, I might use 1.5 ounces of 6.0 and a half of 5.44 with 2 ounces of booster and 2 ounces of 20 volume, right? I hope that helped you. I could also make it a little warmer by using one of our best shades ever, is that 6WG. And I could use 1.5 ounces of 6WG, which is a warm golden, with the 5.44, but that would make her a little warmer. Whenever you're working on white hair and you want to assure gray coverage that's not too purple, not too yellow, not too anything, 0.0, neutral. Okay, now let's suppose you're working on hair that has no gray. let's supposing you're working on hair that's level 3, medium brown, and you want her to look like a copper, right? And there's no gray hair. You don't have to buffer that formula. Why? Because the brown hair has enough brown pigment, eumelanin in there, that you don't have to worry about those roots getting super hot. So what I might use is straight 5.44. If I use a level 5 on level 3 hair, the final level is going to be a 4. So what I'm going to do is mix 2 ounces of 5.44, 2 teaspoons of color booster, 2 ounces of 20 volume oxy milk, mix it like crazy, and apply it to that level 3 hair, taking fine, even sections, processing at room temperature for 45 minutes, unless she has super fine hair, like almost no hair. That'll be 30 minutes. Just watch it, and she will be a level 3, she'll be a level 4 copper. Does that help you? Why do people
Use heat.
You should not use heat when you're using permanent dye, ever. We don't use heat on the scalp. Heat is not, when you have ammonia on the scalp, and let me reiterate, all permanent color is alkaline, whether it's an ammonia or an ammonia substitute. Hair color cannot be permanent unless it's alkaline. When permanent color is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be processed with heat ever on the scalp. Now, if you have permanent color in foils that are migrated away from the scalp, and you want to speed it up and give her 10 minutes under heat and let her sit for 10 or 15 minutes more out of heat, nothing is in contact with the scalp. So Robert, when an ammonia or an ammonia substitute or bleach is on the scalp, which I have seen, which you can have a person go into shock, never ever, when there's an alkaline product on heat in contact with the scalp, do we use heat. Now it's fine to use heat with many brands of acidic liquid demi-color, because they're so low in alkalinity, they cannot burn the hair and scalp, the scalp particularly. The skin is an organ of exchange. So when you have ammonia or monoethylamine in contact with the scalp, you risk burning the client or causing a severe allergic reaction. If people are putting people on, I know that there are people who put people under a dryer with bleach or permanent color in their hair. They did not do that in my salon. I've worked in other very famous salons. I could not believe what I saw. And it was not my job to tell people that they could kill somebody, but I've seen people's heads swell up like you wouldn't believe. And no manufacturer will tell you to stick them under heat. Does that help you, Robert, or did someone, got it? Okay, good. Okay, Annie, do we have another question?
No, the last one was Robert's.
Okay.
I think people use heat because they want to get done faster.
Exactly.
They speed up the system. And I know okay, with its color, we have the thickener, the creative control cream, so that you can, and it does speed it up some. I tell everybody, rather you do it at room temperature to give the color time to lift and to deposit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, I can buy a gorgeous roast to make for dinner, and I can stick it in the microwave, or
Which
I can put it
tastes
in the,
terrible.
right, but Annie, will it be cooked? Yes.
Yeah.
Or I can stick it in the oven you know what, the thing
Yeah.
about this whole, why is the world in such a hurry? I know we're all in a hurry. Can't we allow a man or a woman to come into a grooming service and just step away from the world for a little bit, and and pamper them with something that they're not going to just think is okay today, but in 3 or 4 weeks they're still going to enjoy their service and they're going to want to rebook with us. I don't know. And a lot of, see, there are kids coming out of beauty school who go, I've got to do 12 a day. I've got to do 12 a day. If I don't do 12, well, I'd rather you do 7 a day at $100 than 100 people a day at $7.
Yep.
And this whole volume thing has me concerned. And I've talked about this before. I speak about this in classes. Of course you want to be busy, but hurrying them up, just saying to the woman before you start, it's going to take, there are women who will come in at 10 o'clock and say they want to be blonde, but they have to pick their kid up at 12:30 from school. Well, then I said, you know what? I can do some highlights on you today, but we really can't blonde you because you have to leave.
Right.
And that's part of I hate it, but that word consultation, the pre-service interview has to do, I know what you want. Can you spend this amount of time with me? And are you, the colorist, permitted by your salon to take that amount of time with a client and have them pay properly for the service?
Right.
We
We have a comment from Sean. Its color gives amazing gray coverage in 35 to 40 minutes without heat. I've
Yeah.
used all the major color brands, never got the coverage like its color. I
Its
agree with
color,
that.
its color was invented to do a lot, but its color will never let you down with gray coverage ever.
Right.
And I will
And
say,
it doesn't itch, sting, or burn. That's my favorite.
no, it doesn't, because there are a
characteristic.
lot of conditioners in there. And here's the thing.
Right.
Remember, because it's rich, if you're looking for a level 4 result and you're using another brand's 4, I would recommend in Artego Its Color to use a 5, because we have a very rich pigment weight.
Yes.
And we are very pigment rich. It's not cheesy color that they put less dye in there. So enjoy yourself and just, formulate a bit lighter than you would normally.
Okay. Yeah, we do have 25% more pigment in our color.
Yeah, and so
Minimally.
there you go. So
Yeah.
that's going to bring you, that's why a 10NN will cover gray.
Right. Right.
See?
And Roseanne just says it doesn't stain the hairline
It
either.
does not. Nope.
Yeah,
Because
dark colors
there's not a lot
don't.
of that's when a brand has a lot of semi dye in it. It'll stain the hairline. The
Right.
products are, as a teacher, I respect all brands and whatever people use, but I, of course, am drawn to lines where I have had the opportunity to speak to the chemist, understand, and I will say Artego's done a very fine job. I am blown away that almost every salon in this country doesn't use it. The price is so competitive, but also, no, we don't have the flashy advertising and the television commercials and the advertising in magazines, but we got me and we got Annie and we have Dustin and Chris and Gretchen and Sebastian out there teaching, and Damien in Florida. We're here, and I've included in my new website, when people join for $25 a year, they can call me on the phone anytime for free. And I do have clients calling me all the time. My website is $25 per year. You don't join $25 forever. You'll get a bill once a year. It's $2.08 a month. And I do post free on my Facebook group every day. Annie takes a look, my Facebook group page, and we answer all sorts of questions from every brand, and people even saying, how do I speak to this lady who is in a bad mood and wants this, or what time should I start in the morning, or how long would you set aside for a double process blonding virgin? I mean, so we really talk about color, and they'll say, I've used this base breaker, or I've used this brand of non-ammonia color, or I've used this, and we really have very good conversations there and on my website that goes even deeper into chemistry. So I invite everybody. And Annie, I got good news. I was going to tell you this morning. Our friend Lulu Benavito, who has a salon here.
Lulu in Galveston.
Well, I'm going to go there and teach all day, Monday, February 10th. And we can invite 20 colorists, and they'll get their tickets through your office to join me for a whole day with Lulu.
Oh, awesome.
And we're going to do all Beauty Fusion, all its color, all the lighteners. We're going to have, and Lulu is a fine photographer. So we're going to have the opportunity to get some really great before and after photos. And that will be up, that we've got to start advertising it soon because we can only seat 20. Oh, Robert says, sign me up. Yippee, Robert, come and join us. I taught at Robert's salon, and he and his amazing wife, Annetta, Brenda, and their staff could not have been better to me. We had a wonderful day, and I wish I could have stayed another day. And so Lulu, and then in April, we're going to go to Boston.
Very nice. Give us Send the dates to the office and we'll get it all posted.
Yeah, please do. And I'm really excited, folks. But remember, I'm here for you, and as is Annie. If I know a lot of you are members on my free Facebook, which is Beth Minardi, and I have Beth Minardi hair color that takes you right over to my group page. But also, please, I hope you'll join my website. It's my little way of reaching career colorists who want to talk to me on the phone. And there's over 250 hair color lessons on there every day that does not matter about your brand. It's chemistry. And that's Beth Minardi All Access. But Annie and I will be here for you. So Annie, we have one more coming up in December and then we're done, right?
No, but this was our
No,
last one.
this is it, because we're almost, you're right.
Yeah,
This
I
is
thought
it.
that's what Kaylin told me. Yep.
Well,
All right, so everybody have a great Thanksgiving and happy holiday, and stay healthy and happy, and keep using Artigo. And we'll see you next year.
think color, and remember on my Beth Minardi Facebook, I'm posting all my Thanksgiving recipes that you asked for every year. The spinach dip. Next is my heart attack on a dish mashed potatoes.
All right, we'll watch
Okay.
for it. Thank you.
Colorful holidays, everybody. Bye, Robert.